morning and happy Valentine's Day. Um, Today, I'm listening to this new soundtrack by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross from the movie The Gorge. I'm not sure I'll ever see the movie, but it's good so far. Um, I will be attempting to import GeoJSON information from Asgar's fantasy map generator into Blender. So Asgar's fantasy map generator is really something. I will show it to you first, and then we'll get started, and I'll talk about it. So, um, this is what it looks like. It's at, oops, let me put myself over there so that you can see. asgar.github.io/fantasy-map-generator. I'm actually going to toss that into the chat. Oh, maybe I won't that way. It's pretty rad. It has so many knobs and dials and buttons and everything for display. It does a full procedural generation of the of a world based on the information that you put in. And Asgar has, and you'll start to see how my system is struggling with it. But let's see if I can make it. Where's the render as? Well, anyway, you can have it render in a bunch of different ways, including 3D and whatnot. So, although I've gotten confused as to how to make it do that. It'll do generation of tons of stuff, religion, conflict, provinces, and so on. So here's the political map. Okay, and I don't remember if I modified this one or not. Here's cultural map, and they do separate between culture, political, religion. You can get provinces, biomes. You can get a height map. That's pretty cool. And if I'm remembering correctly, the way that it does this is all based on Voronoi tessellations and the interactions between the different cells. Oh, here we go, 3D scene. Let's see if I can make it look like a 3D scene. I'm gonna turn this down just a little bit because it's pretty intense. I'll turn it down a lot actually. But it does a bunch of cool stuff. And let's see if we can go to a globe. But I'm interested in experimenting with different ways of rendering geospatial data in Blender. So that's what we're gonna experiment with. I want to put this right on into Blender. So what it has is it has, oh, and I guess it's not under tool, but it has different exports. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new map, but this time I'm going to have it do the entire globe. So options, where's it, tools, style, layers. There's a way to set the size of the map that it creates. So let's reset to defaults. It's going to reset everything back to defaults. Okay, so let's take a look at what it's generating. So, see here, the map seed, it gives me some random seed, it gives me a canvas size, culture set, interface, onload, generate random map, Asgar assistant, show, that I think is this down here. It gives us some zoom and whatnot, but I'm not going to modify most of this stuff. What I'm instead going to do is we're going to use this. And we're just going to export it. I'm not going to export the images yet. We will maybe do that later. I'm instead going to export the cells, the routes, the rivers, the markers. I'm going to export the full to JSON. Minimal, pack cells, grid cells. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to go back over here, mkdir asgar. So we've got our full grid cells, minimal pack cells. Yes, it's got some GeoJSON files as well. So we've got a ton of stuff now. I am going to rename all these. So let's go ahead and remove the date from them so that the file names are a little bit easier to do. Okay, now one thing that I've noticed is that if you look at this inside JQ, oh, this one, it works. In the past, the way that it's generated has occasionally generated Unicode characters that were that confused JQ and caused some problems. So let me actually check to see if it does that here. JQ dot. Let's take a look at the cells. Okay. Actually, those are the two that I was going to work with. So, great. I am going to leave this open, but I'm going to put it in a different tab so you don't see it. Let's take a look at this. So what I started with for importing this comes from a gist that I found on GitHub by Ancient Hello. Let me put that link here in the chat. And we're going to make a bunch of changes to this. The main changes we're going to make are to make it work specifically with the output from asgar. But I'm also going to, because of the way asgar works with how it exports cells and so on, we're going to put things into different collections. Ugh, I made the coffee too strong this morning. So what I've done is I've changed a couple things. I was experimenting with different properties. We're actually going to get rid of that for now. I'll talk about properties in a moment. I don't know what the radius here is for the sphere, but we'll deal with that too. So we are going to we will call this, does this, nope it doesn't. This will be cells. So this is going to load in the GeoJSON. And what I do is I look up the state names, because it stores them in a different way than that. We print them out just so that I've got them. And then what it does is it takes the polygon data, converts it all into meshes, and it creates a mesh. And I've separated them out so that it groups them by the state, and then we iterate over that. So let's take a look at this. We will open, it's going to load it. Oh yes. So import path os dr name equals file. There's probably a better way to do this, but I'm not up on it, so. See if this works. So reload here. Ugh. All right. Looks like this is the way to do it. Thank you to Stack Overflow. Oops. Although that seems like it did the exact same thing that I was just doing, so I guess we'll find out. It's possible that the way that this works, yeah, all right. My guess is that this doesn't actually work the way that I think it does because of how Blender is executing it. So I'll just put the path in, although I really don't like doing that. Okay, so reload from disk. Okay, and now what it should be doing is generating all my meshes. Now, some of these, it creates meshes that come out a little bit further than I think they should. I suspect that that's just like a weird thing with the way that the radius is used to calculate and all that stuff. Let me go ahead and turn the sphere off. You can see here, yeah, that right there, we'll figure that out in a little bit. Oh, that's the camera. Oh, I'm so silly. All right, let's go see the camera. All right, back up. It's not a problem with the script. Okay. All right. So now we've got all these cells all over it. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is let's pick one. We'll make that one visible. Now let's go to geometry nodes. We're probably going to want to do something to this. So we will add a geometry node, set material, and let's take a look at the properties. Did I put the properties in data? Oh, I did put the properties in data. I actually don't really want them in data, but so let's go back here, see where it says mesh.data. We'll get rid of that. Okay, so let's create a new one. We'll go to scripting, open our script, run it. It'll re-import them all. Now it should be setting the attributes on the, get rid of the cube. It should be setting the attributes on each individual inside the object node rather than the mesh, or rather than the data block. Yeah, there we go. All right, so let's go to geometry nodes for cell 0. This should be in the same place. Yep, it is. Create a new geometry nodes, set material. Material has no faces for mesh assignment. Oh, interesting. Yeah, it's got vertexes and edges. This is, oh yes, this is actually the part that I need to spend the most time on. This is where we need to take these sets of vertices Okay, so let's see. Can we use geometry nodes to do this? Operation, edge path to selection, extrude, flip face, mesh, mesh to curve, mesh to... Actually, maybe not. So we may need to do something different here. But let's get to our let's see, mesh to points. And no, vertices. Okay, and now, so that's my points. Can I now do... For those of you who are just joining, although I haven't had anyone join yet this morning, which is okay, I am learning how to take these vertexes and edges and turn them, and trying to turn them into faces. And I'm not doing that great a job at it yet. So here, let's take our material. Maybe I need to model this. Okay, so filling is the terminology that I want. So let's go back here. We've got bpi ops mesh fill. So let's see if I can call that. Let's do this. So now we've got our, let's see, where's that object? There's that object. So let's go into scripting. Object equals bpi data dot object. Object equals bpi context scene selected. No, bpi dot objects 10. bpi data objects. Okay. Object dot fill. Nope. Mesh. guess I need to select it and then call fill, right? So let's try that. So bpy data objects. Do I ever select them? Does it ever select them inside this? Creates the vertices. Is it modify? Oh, you know, maybe I should go through it by using a modifier. So here, let's see. Let's select this one. Add modifier. Generate. Let's search. Fill. Nope. Select a different one so that I know what I'm seeing. Object.select. Set true. Okay. bpy.ops.mesh.fill. Context is incorrect. So the thing that I've noticed about Blender is that a lot of the time that I want it to do things, is that I need to interact with it in a particular way, and sometimes that way is depends on using the script like I am using the UI, and that's where I sometimes get a little bit confused. Because I don't always know which parts I need to do. So, all right, let's see. So if I call bpyops mesh fill on this, context is incorrect. So that's the real problem here. Oh, looks like this is a very common problem. Or at least not completely uncommon. It looks like this may actually require that I select the object differently. So maybe that's the real problem. This is very confusing. So it looks like what I need to do is set context view layer objects active. So let's see. We'll set objects here, and we'll set it like 15 or something. Okay. So now it looks like what I need to do is bpi.context.viewLayer dot objects active equals object. Okay, so that activated that object. Object.select set true. And now, if I do bpi.ops.mesh.fill, what? That's so strange. Oh, selected objects equals bpi.context.selected objects. For object in select we'll call this for underscore in selected objects underscore dot select set false. Okay, so now everything is unselected. Now I should be able to do object bpi.context.viewLayer.objects.active is equal to object, so that sets it to the active object. And now object.select set true. Okay, so that one is now selected. Now bpi object mesh fill, and it still didn't work. Well, I really just need to fill all these meshes. So maybe if I do, I could just do it manually maybe. Select objects, modeling, face, fill. Okay, so that's all my neutrals. So now let's select these objects. Face, fill. Let's see, it didn't do it, did it? Let's see, face. No, edges selected. Select objects. I guess maybe this is more confusing than I realized. Aren't they all edges? Let's take a look. Is it just the neutrals that aren't edges? Geometry nodes. No, no faces. Okay, let's go to modeling. So that filled it. This is all not exactly how I want it, though. Let's go ahead and create a new one. Let's see if we can fix this from the start. So we actually want to take this mesh object. It creates a new mesh. mesh from pi data. Oh, that was a quick little soundtrack. I don't think I really want to listen to AJR right now, so let's see, what else can we listen to? Don't want to listen to that. Let's see, is there anything new? You know what? Let's see. A while since I've listened to A Night at the Hip Hopera. So let's listen to A Night at the Hip Hopera by the Kleptones, and this is the 20th anniversary remaster. This is the very first mashup album I ever listened to, and I love it so much. All right. Alright, so here's the main problem. We've got all these meshes. And what I want is I want these meshes ultimately to have faces. So I want to use the built-in Blender operation as best I can. So this is most of this. I really just want to use the face fill. Alright. Create a mesh object from vertices and edges and assign a name. So these should all be in a loop already. I'm going to change my radius here. We'll move everything outward later on. I'm going to set this to be 5. So let's open our script, get all our stuff in, run it. Okay. Get rid of the sphere. All right, so take a look at each one of these individually. Now we don't want to merge them all because each one, well actually if we do merge them we want to make sure that we retain all the properties. So let's see, let's create a new object. We'll just make a cube or something. No, we'll make a sphere, or a plane. Alright, so now let's take our geometry modifier, get rid of that, no geometry input. We'll get a collection. Okay, we've got our collection. Got our instances inside that. Let's see, mesh topology, corners of face, edges to face groups. Alright, let's do join geometry here. So let's see what we get for the output. Where'd my plane go? Oh, it's in neutrals. Alright, let's move it all the way to the top. Okay. I mean, maybe the right thing to do here is to avoid scripting it. I don't like that idea though. But it might be the only way to do this. So we've got our plane, we're not getting our individual instances. There we go. Okay, so now we've got this. So layout, modeling. No, I want the output. Let's just delete our plane. Okay, let's view our Volo. They're all near each other. Select objects. Let's go into object. Huh. Come on in. Drive on, drive on, drive on in tonight. Oops. So we fill those faces. Fill those faces. No faces filled. I think or maybe, do I have to do each one individually? No faces filled. Let's see why not. Oh, it didn't say why. Yeah, why not? Let's take a look. Where is my spreadsheet view? I got a bunch of edges. Okay, so I think I had mistakenly selected something else. Face, fill. No edges selected. These are edges. See? Edges. That one's got a face. Wait, do these all have faces? They do all have faces. Dang it. This is all very confusing because I keep messing stuff up. Don't save. Delete my cube. Scripting. Open. Run. Modeling. Alright, let's choose one at random. Alright, no edges selected, so let's take a look at what it actually thinks is selected. Edge. Doesn't have a face. Alright. Face. Fill. No edges selected, but I am selecting these edges, aren't I? What? That's the wrong cell. So maybe this is all... This might be all related to my not understanding the right way to select objects. Wouldn't that be just the worst? See, because this... Because you'll see right there, that's showing me a different cell being selected. Now let's see what happens if I select this. Nope. Maybe if I go to layout. Okay, so maybe this is what needs to happen. I go to layout, modeling, okay, now they're selected, and it fills. Alright, so I had to select it in layout. Let's hide that. Select objects, modeling, fill faces. Not sure that that did it exactly right, but it might have. Guess we'll have to see. Okay, so now let's go to layout. Hide that. Select objects, modeling, fill. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of holes here that I don't think I should be. So there's probably something to do with the way that all right, we'll try again, and this time, which cell is... Let's find one that I think should be filled that isn't. Oh, you know what? Maybe it's just putting them all in the wrong order. This is 0134, or 1034. So let's see, how did it decide these faces? Let's take a look at this one. Alright, you know what? Let's just try making it the faces. All right, let's try making the faces. So extract polygon data. Let's try making this. Okay, I'll skip it for this. We'll just do it for the mesh object. Okay, so new, don't save, scripting, open, blend YT. All right, so now let's take a look at this. Let's see, does this have any faces? Or is everything a multi-polygon? All right, so now we've got faces for all of them. That was a lot of work just to get there. Okay, this is the point at which things might start getting fun, in that I can suddenly start using our properties here. So let's come up with a single geometry node here. Okay. Set material. We're probably going to eventually want to do like set material index here. And choose between multiple. But for now, we'll just do it one at a time. So we are going to set a material. That material is going to utilize the property from the individual mesh objects that we have. If I ever can. But it's going real slow today. There we go. Okay, so now we've set our material. It should have initialized the shader. You can raise yourself. Oh, nobody likes hamdingers.
Nobody likes hamdingers.
Let me close this down. Wow, Blender is just dying here. Okay. Let's set it to that material. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our shading node and we're going to edit our material. And so far we have only included the cells. So this is just the landscape. Alright, so we've got this. Now let's take a look at our properties here for our object. See, we've got biome, height, population. So let's do something real simple here. Let's take our attribute. Now we're going to read this off of our object. We're going to take population. Then we'll do map range. From minimum of 0 to maximum, let's do 10,000. Let's do a color ramp. And now let's do actually, let's get some color maps in here. Open, import CMaps, run it. So now we can check our image. Fun. We'll do Arbra. This factor will go to our value. The result will go into our vector. Okay, now go to our layout. We will select everything. Link materials, copy modifiers. Okay, let's take a look at our shader. And check that out. Now, let's see what is... I just estimated our population maximum. So I think it's probably going to be... actually, it looks about right. This is 0. And so 0, it wraps around, I think. But let's clamp it. No, it does clamp it, so... Oh, no, it repeats. So that would be interpolating between the bottom and the top, I think. So let's clip. There we go. Oh, yep. That's fun. Oh, there's our cube at the center of the Earth. All right, so now let's see, shading, take a look at that. Let's try doing a displacement. We'll map our range. Now what I should have is I should be computing statistics on the attributes and all that, so maybe I can do that. Oops, I don't actually want that. Let's X that. I want to do this. I think I do this in the geometry nodes. Let's read a named attribute. Height. Store named attribute. We will store 2D vector. Wait, no, just vector. Float. Yeah, I'll figure this out a little bit later. But basically, um, we should be able to compute the appropriate min and max here. But let's get the height. Um, let's go back to shading. Let's do a little bit of a displacement. So let's take a look at material. All right, so let's get our, we want this off the object. This will be height. Value from -500 to 500. To min -1 to max 1. Height, mid-level 0. Connect displacement there. Now, that doesn't do anything until I switch over to cycles. So now it's going to cycles, but I still need to specify displacement and bump. Let's see if this does anything. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Huh, neat. One of the coolest things about this, I think, is all the duplicated edges, they no longer connect. That's fun, because we don't do any vertex changes, because none of it's at the vertices. It's all at the objects. Interesting. This is going to be a little trickier than I thought. Yeah. We can probably mitigate that by dropping the scale down considerably, but it's still going to have edges at the vertex edges, or it's still going to have discontinuities. That is kind of cool, though. All right, let's take a look real quick at the grid cells. All right, so each one of these cells is defined um, as having sets of vertices. These are all indexed, and we're doing a reasonably coarse job of that. So maybe what we should be doing is bumping, or we should be distributing the attributes to the indices. And since we have all the neighbors, we should be able to do that. But it'll require some pre-processing. I wonder what C means here. Is that like the neighbors? I is index, V is vertices. All right, let's take a look at this. Let's see if we can format it. Vim takes a while to format it. Oh, then you know it. Let's just JQ it. So, using the GeoJSON may just not be the right thing to... What is that? That was just a refresh error. This is all the settings, map coordinates. Here's the pack. The pack is where all the cells and whatnot are defined. That gives all of the, looks like the colors. Okay, so cells. This gives the definition of each individual cell. Now let's come up with the vertices. The vertices look like they are just definitions of, yeah, points. Actually, I don't know. This must be the cells that they're shared between. This might be the better thing to try at first. This defines the different land masses. Anyway, I am coming up on the end of my time for doing this today, but I think I've learned a lot about automated facet filling and face filling and things like that, as well as some of the issues that we run into with applying height. But it looks like we've almost got our fantasy world in here. Once we get it all the way in, we'll be able to plot it based on different pieces of information and potentially do some really neat stuff with it. Okay, that was a short exploration of getting Asgar's fantasy maps into Blender. Have a good one.